Good morning. The Wednesday, July 20th, 2022 recess session of the Nags Board of Commissioners is hereby called to order. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Before we go any further, I should say that Commissioner Brinkley is excused this morning. So that brings us to public comment. I don't see anybody, John, and we don't, Roberta, we didn't get anything to read, not Roberta. Carolyn, we didn't get anything to read from anybody. Okay, we had an inquiry about whether we were going to have a meeting and whether there was going to be public comment. That person is not present. We didn't get anything to read from them, so we'll just continue.
All right.
That. So the next item on the agenda is old business, which is what brought us to this meeting, which is the disaster debris removal agreement. And David, thank you.
Yep. Good morning, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. At your previous board meeting, there was consideration of the pre-position disaster debris removal contract. And the board had requested some supplemental information. Included in your board packet is a memo which outlines some of those items that the board had requested, along with some of the follow-up and feedback that we had received regarding those requests. First and foremost, the board had requested a copy of the agreement. Included in your packet are the federal provisions that would apply to any contractual agreement with the selected offeror. Secondly, the board had requested some information about North Carolina related work. And thirdly, investigate the potential for local contractors to rapidly respond to a disaster debris event. So I'll go in reverse order. That we first contacted our representative from North Carolina Emergency Management to look at the request to procure local contractors as part of the first 70-hour push and shove period. They had cited a provision in the Code of Federal Regulations about geographic preferences and how they cannot be used for procurement of these types of services. Additionally, they provided some supplemental information on how the offeror should be selected, and that it's not always based upon lowest price, that it's based upon best value to the community. So with that, we performed some outreach with several of the offerers for these services. We actually contacted the top two. The reason being is that there was very close scoring and ranking between the top rank offer and the second rank offer. So we had reached out to them to see if they would look at the possibility of including local contractors into the part of the services that they were to provide. And each one of the top two contractors had agreed to that they could use local contractors in order to respond to that first 70-hour period, which would be able to address that concern about rapidly responding to an event. TFR Enterprises indicated that they would reach out to local contractors after we move forward with an agreement, whereas DRC Emergency Services, who was the second ranked contractor, they had contacted, I think it was 4 local contractors, and have included them in their subcontractor list. So they've already made those provisions in order to secure local contractors. The other part to this is the ability to be able to respond to an event. And so I think originally we had within the request for proposals being able to respond within a 48-hour period. Each of the top two ranked contractors agreed to respond quicker than that. They said that they could go ahead and respond within the 24-hour period, that they could mobilize 50% of their equipment or personnel within that first 24 hours, and then the remaining portion within 48 hours. So 100% capacity within 48 hours. So each had agreed to be able to respond pretty rapidly. I do want to make note of the fact that DRC Emergency Services also agreed to locate some of their own equipment and personnel, that they would go ahead and pre-stage some equipment that you would typically need during that first 70-hour period. That would include skid steers or front-end loaders or bucket trucks. So they would go ahead and pre-stage that equipment. They said here on the island, within a 10 to 20 mile radius, so they could have backup support to local contractors in order to be able to respond. Whereas TFR Enterprises indicated that they've got a staging yard in Kentucky, which is approximately 10 hours away from Nags Head, and they would go ahead and they would mobilize from that yard to Nags Head in response to an event. And again, that would be for that first 70-hour period, which is known as either the cut and shove or push and shove period. In addition to that, we also investigated the existing communities that they currently serve within North Carolina. TFR Enterprises, they currently have pre-positioned agreements. I believe it's with 8 North Carolina municipalities, whereas DRC Emergency Services currently has 12 agreements with North Carolina municipalities, with Greenville, North Carolina being the closest of those municipalities. In addition, staff performed additional outreach in order to go ahead and check on references. We had performed some outreach prior to the last meeting, but really we're being challenged by getting responses from some of those municipalities. For TFR Enterprises, we reached out to 9 different municipalities, most of those located here within North Carolina. We only received 2 responses. One response was from NCDOT down in Carteret County. They had a good experience with TFR Enterprises, and we also spoke with a community just outside Houston, and the feedback that we received regarding TFR Enterprises was that they because of a dispute to the contract, they did not perform any services for the community. So that kind of gave us a little bit of pause as to the fact that if we have an event, we don't want to be caught up in dispute in order to be able to respond. So we thought it worthwhile to go ahead and reach out to some of the references for DRC Emergency Services. We were able to contact 4 different municipalities, one within North Carolina, which was the city of Wilmington. The DRC Emergency Services provided support during Hurricane Florence. If you recall, that was a 2-day event, and according to their solid waste supervisor, DRC was on the ground within a 24-hour period, even while that event was taking place. That was a large-scale debris event, and DRC was able to not only respond rapidly, but have the capacity to be able to manage that type of event. We also spoke with representatives from Florida, Louisiana, and Texas for DRC Emergency Services, and all indicated very positive feedback with the way that they were able to manage the capacity that they had, and the communications across the board when providing those debris removal services. So, with all that being said, we went back and we reviewed all the information and retabulated the scores, because with this supplemental information, it provided the scoring matrix that we have when we go ahead and we consider the different factors. We look at pricing, which is about 50% of the scoring tabulation, and then we also consider other factors like North Carolina experience, the ability to respond, having the capacity, and as a result of that, it did change the outcome from what we had previously reported, and that outcome would now carry a recommendation for DRC Emergency Services in lieu of TFR Enterprises, with all factors being considered. And full disclosure, it did give us the time to go back and review all the pricing. We asked for a pricing for hauling, for equipment rates, as well as personnel rates. There's over 100 items that we asked for pricing for. For the hauling part, we basically simulate an event, and in this case, we simulate a Category 3 debris generating event. They provide unit prices, and then we tabulate what those final amounts are on the quantity and unit prices provided. In review of this matrix, we found that there was an error in the pricing provided by TFR, which previously was the lowest price. As a result of this error, it changed the pricing, with now DRC Emergency Services being the lowest cost contractor. And so with all of that being said, and considering how we evaluated the proposals, that DRC Emergency Services would be staff recommendation to move forward with a pre-positioned contract for debris removal services.
All right, very good. Thank you, David. Appreciate all that extra work that y'all put in over the last couple of weeks. Questions? Bob?
No, I thought that report was very well. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Mr.
No, thank you for going back and reviewing everything. I thought the memos were very thorough. The contract, while lengthy, was was extremely thorough. So thank you very much. Appreciate all the work that everybody did.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, thank you, David, for your extra time and work. Appreciate it.
Good. So we got somebody who turned out to be the lowest price, has already talked to local contractors about getting them started early, and checked references. I mean, it sounds like a win.
Some of the local contractors they talk to are ones we use frequently for our projects.
Even better, even better.
Good.
Fantastic.
Some
All
of
right.
the names that you would recognize for heavy construction work.
Great.
Excellent, excellent. All right, very good. Well, in that case, a motion would be in order.
Do you want a motion to include the amount of the that was quoted in our previous memo?
I don't think we need a memo
just
to
a-
approve
okay.
the amount, just to move forward with the agreement with DRC Emergency Services.
I make a motion that we award the contract to DRC Emergency for our debris removal in the event of a storm.
Okay, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Again, thank you, David, very much. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right. I understand that we will have a closed session. Do you have anything else, John, other than that?
I will say this, we did file actions to condemn the 3 beach nourishment easements that the town needed, the only 3 that they did not get, that the town did not receive voluntarily by the time that we needed to get them in order to move forward with projects. We filed those suits right after the last meeting, and so we've acquired all the easements necessary for the project.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad we were able to get it down to 3, so thank you and Roberta for your work to get that.
And two of those really, I think, were, in fact, one of them actually did provide one after the suit was filed, and one would have had they been, or claimed that they would have had they been in place. They just were out of pocket and just could not get the signing and return done for us.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I think the project may be starting today.
Yeah, I know they were,
Friday, it's changed now.
oh, man. It's kind of scary to start something big on Friday. I don't like starting big projects on Fridays. That's usually doesn't go well, but, all right. Items referred to and presentations from the town manager.
We just have the one closed session that we
Okay.
wanted to talk to the board
All
about.
right, very good. Commissioners, do any of us have anything? Commissioner Sears?
Nothing at this time.
Hughes?
Just a comment.
Yes.
It's really hot. I hope we're providing staff all the necessary support they need to stay hydrated, because a lot of our staff works outside.
Yes.
And urge them to be careful and pay attention to signs of heat exhaustion.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Commissioner Sanders?
Nothing here, thank
All
you.
right, very good, and neither do I. So is there any other business before we go to the closed session to come before the body? Hearing none, then I will make a motion that the board enter into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the town attorney regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege and to preserve that privilege. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Board will be in closed session.
Can we
Board has returned to open session. Mr. Leidy, will you report out, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The Board of Commissioners did consult with the attorneys regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege, did give some instructions to the town attorney, but no other actions need to be disclosed at this time.
Okay, all right, very good. We asked previously about other business, so at this point, a motion to adjourn will be in order. Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.